Today we are going to be setting the level on this 2010 Toyota Camry for the automatic transmission. So come on over here, I'll show you. We are working on the U760E transmission. This is the E/F series. It's a 6-speed automatic and offered in all of these models here: 9 to 18 Camry, 2008 16 Venza, 10 to 12 Sienna, 10 to 19 Highlander, 8 to 18 RAV4, 12 to 18 RAV4, and 2011 to 16 Scion TC. Now, this transmission's a little different. It doesn't have a dipstick in it, so what we need to do is basically get the transmission up to a certain temperature, and then we will pull the drain plug, and inside of that pan, where the drain plug comes out, there's actually like a little straw, a little tube, and once the fluid is at the right temperature, it'll expand to a certain height and drip down that tube. So you can see here, this is kind of what it looks like. You got the oil pan here, and you can see this little tube right here, that the overflow tube that the fluid goes down. And just basically, we need to get this thing into a certain mode in order to set this fluid temperature and fluid level properly. So there's two ways we can do it. We can either use a scan tool, but if you don't have a scan tool, that's no problem. Toyota has made it so that we can short out 2 pins on the data link connector under the dash and put it into a transmission service mode. There's a certain name for it. I'll let you know in a minute. So some of the tools that you're going to need are, you need a ratchet, a 10mm socket, a 24mm socket, a 6mm Allen key, 5mm Allen key you might need. This would be for removing the tube that's underneath the drain plug. I'm just going to leave mine in because we're just going to set the fluid level. I don't actually want to drain it all out. And then we do recommend that you replace this drain plug gasket. And also we need some fluid. So I think that's the part number there. And then a funnel would be nice, and probably a light. And then some wiring of some sorts to be able to short the connector out. You can use a paper clip if you have one. And then also probably some rags, because we're gonna make a bit of a mess. This is the cover here, so I've already sort of started. Pull the wheel off. In order to access the fill port on the side of the transmission, there is a cover that is in the way. So it's 2 10mm bolts, and then there is a push style clip that comes out. So I've removed this out of the way. You can see I've already taken off the 24mm drain plug, or fill plug, sorry. And yeah, the reason that I'm doing this on this car today is that it was leaking from this axle seal. I believe it's shifting real harsh. So we're gonna be setting and checking the fluid level. So first thing we need to do is, I'm gonna be adding some fluid to this thing because I'm pretty sure it's low. And then we'll be lowering the car down and we'll put it into this special service mode. So I'm just adding some fluid into this thing right now, just because it's low. So probably if you were draining the fluid out of yours, doing a service or something like that, the total fill spec for this, including the torque converter, is about 6.5 liters of oil. So yeah, I'd probably put like 4 or 5 liters in there maybe. If you pull the pan, I'd probably do like 4 liters. And it may fill up and end up spilling out of this fill hole. But we want to at least get a bunch in there, so then when we get it up to temp, we can pull that plug and let it start draining out. So let's lower the car down and get this thing into service mode. Okay, so we have pins 4 and 13 shorted out on the DLC connector. And you can see which ones those are on the long side. Starting from, gets all confusing because it's upside down and then you're looking at it upside down, but you can I'll show you a picture on the computer. Anyhow, foot on. All right, so we'll start the car. Foot on the brake. We'll go from park to neutral, back to park. Then we need to go from neutral to drive. Watching the drive indicator. There we go. So we've seen it come on for 2 seconds and then shut off. So now you can hear the car's in neutral right now. We can hear the fans just came on, and what we're gonna do now that we're in this mode is okay, so we pull the our little connector thing out of the DLC. Let's go to lift the vehicle up. Okay, so I got it running now. I don't want it up too high because I won't be able to see the indicator on the dash. So there's that tube I was talking about that's inside of there. It's that's what's going to set the level for us. And we need to have this between 35 and 45 degrees. We just need to watch that indicator on the dash, because if it starts blinking, that's going to tell us that the fluid is too hot and that we need to shut the vehicle off and start again. It's a bit of a finicky process. The key to getting it to go into this detection mode is to really move it from neutral to drive at a rate of almost 1.5 seconds, but no longer than 1.5 seconds. And we need to do that for about 6 seconds. So this thing's just starting to spit now a little bit. I'm gonna get ready to stick this plug back in. So right about there. I'm just going to snug that up. Okay, so now we can see that just as it's finished up there, it's started to blink, so we know that the fluid temperature is now above 45 degrees, and it's too hot. So it's good that it just finished up right now, but we'll just give you a quick run through on here about how to do this, because it's a bit of a finicky thing. So we start off, we short terminals 4 and 13 out on the DLC connector, okay? Then we press the brake pedal, start the engine. It says here to just make sure that the air conditioning system and the radio and all the lights are off. Then you check that all the indicator lights on the combination meter are blinking, and this is just telling you that TC and CG are connected on the DLC port. We slowly move the shift lever from park to drive, then back to park, which we did. And then we observe the drive shift indicator on the combination meter on your dash, right? Move the shift lever back and forth between neutral and drive at an interval of 1.5 seconds for 6 seconds or more. Okay, now it says, there's a note, do not pause for more than 1.5 seconds. This is the sort of finicky part, is going back and forth from neutral to drive while you watch the indicator on the combination meter. And then you'll notice that both neutral and drive will light up when you have the shifter in neutral, and you'll just leave it in neutral. And at that point in time, you can remove the, your special service tool or paper clip from the DLC connector, and it'll go into a idle control mode where it ramps up the idle a little bit. And then you go ahead and pull the plug on the transmission and it'll set the fluid. So you can see here with the drive indicator off, that means that our fluid temperature is less than 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. With the indicator on, we are 35 degrees to 45 degrees Celsius, which is our normal operating temperature. That's where we want to make our adjustment, is in that window. And then if it's blinking, we know that the transmission temperature is now too hot and we need to shut the car off and let it cool back down to obtain proper fluid levels. So there's just a couple notes and stuff here, but that's basically it. We put the plug back in. You don't take this, that overflow plug, you don't take that out. And then, yeah, that's basically it. So we should be good to go now. I'm just going to see if there's a reset procedure for the transmission clutch tolerances and probably take this thing for a drive. Sounds like the pump inside the transmission is making a bunch of noise, so might have been destined to fail, like might have been on its way out, but now you know how to check that. So.